The 2016 Volkswagen T-Prime Concept GTE. The Chinese automotive market has grown so fast in recent years that all major automakers have opened shop in the country or developed specific models for the Eastern Asian state. In its quest for global domination, not quite successful as of late due to the Dieselgate scandal, Volkswagen is looking to increase local sales with new China-spec models, one of which is the Phideon sedan. At the 2016 Beijing Motor Show, the German automaker pulled the curtains off of a new concept that could conceivably follow in the footsteps of the Phideon as a new offering for this massive SUV-starved market. The concept is called the T-Prime GTE, and for all intents and purposes, this is the model that Volkswagen has chosen to preview its future lineup of SUVs. The list of the T-Prime Concept GTE is that it's a full-sized SUV that relies on a plug-in hybrid powertrain and comes with all-wheel drive. It also has a full menu of new technologies like the curved interaction area that the German automaker plans to have some use for in the future, presumably related to its entire model lineup, not just to SUVs. Whether we see these features in production VWs is a question best asked another time. For Volkswagen, what's important is that these features are ready to be showcased for the world to see. It's also fitting that the T-Prime Concept GTE is making its debut at the Beijing Motor Show. As one of Volkswagen's most important markets, it's imperative for the company to put its best foot forward in the Chinese markets. Showing a model like the T-Prime Concept GTE is a great first step towards introducing the future of Volkswagen SUVs, both in China and all of its other markets in the world. Updated April 25, 2016, Volkswagen unveiled the T-Prime Concept GTE at the 2016 Beijing Auto Show. Continue reading to learn more about the Volkswagen Beijing Concept SUV. Exterior. First, let's get the measurements out of the way. The T-Prime Concept GTE is a big vehicle. Like really big. It measures 199.6 inches long, making it 6.7 inches longer than the current iteration of the Touareg. It's also 78.7 inches wide and 67.2 inches high. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, the T-Prime Concept GTE doesn't really look like an actual concept. It's a recent trend, I know, but it was smart to preview the T-Prime as more production-looking than anything else. For instance, the front section of the SUV carries features that we've already seen on new models or recent concept cars, including the slender headlamps with LED strips that run into the grille and C-shaped daytime running lights. The checkered front grille is a nice wrinkle, but the way the whole thing coyly integrates itself into the headlights is a trick we've seen from VW before. The side and rear profiles of the T-Prime Concept GTE are what you'd expect from a full-sized SUV. The body lines are straightforward and extend from the front to the rear. The wheel arches are flared, which is another expected design detail. While they do exude a more muscular appearance than any of the company's existing crossovers and SUVs, there's little about the sides of the T-Prime that makes you think that this is a concept vehicle, which is likely what Volkswagen intended when it designed the model. It's the same thing at the back, which counts the angular taillights and its triple arrow-shaped patterns as the most notable design details. A consolation prize goes to the tailgate that somewhat extends far into the bumper, creating the illusion of a low-load sill. Rounding out the exterior details of the T-Prime Concept GTE include the Beihai blue body paint that was inspired by a beach on the South China Sea and the set of 22-inch alloy wheels wrapped in 285 40th series tires. Interior. When Volkswagen previewed the T-Prime Concept GTE, it wasted little time emphasizing the luxurious interior of the concept without actually divulging any details about it. But now that the concept has been launched in full, it's easy to see why VW took great liberty in touting the concept's cabin. First up is the dashboard, which features a combination of Ipanema blue leather, glossy black surfaces, and wood accents. As if the use of three distinctive materials wasn't enough to showcase the visual gymnastics of the dash, Volkswagen also created an integrated active info display and infotainment system with a 15-inch head unit that are all covered by a curved glass surface. The whole setup is called the Curved Interaction Area, a name it likely got for being designed in such a way that both displays faced the driver. Volkswagen indicated that this setup is what we'll see on future VW models beginning in 2017. Move past the dash and you'll see that the cabin of the T-Prime Concept might as well serve as a living catalog on the kinds of materials that are at Volkswagen's disposal. The fancy leather, glossy black surfaces and wood accents were all used generously throughout the cabin, right down to the door panels and steering wheel rim. Speaking of the steering wheel, Volkswagen didn't seem to have too many problems bombarding it with buttons and controls with swipe gesture capabilities, all while wrapped in that aforementioned blue leather. Move to the center console and you'll see a similar glass surface treatment as the aforementioned CIA. The concept itself doesn't appear to have a traditional gearshifter. Instead, Volkswagen is introducing, by-wire, control for the 8-speed automatic transmission that operates via a glass scroll wheel fitted with sensors. It doesn't seem like a technology that's ready for production anytime soon, but the whole idea is a nice nod to the continuing technological evolution of the auto industry. Somewhat surprisingly, Volkswagen was less clear on the seating configuration for the concept. No mention was made on the specifics in that regard, but the automaker did continue to tout the concept's lounge-style interior that may be a nod towards a 2+2 seating configuration, a somewhat surprising choice given the size of the SUV. Unless Volkswagen wants to emphasize the generous amount of cabin space this type of configuration provides. I'm not sure this kind of setup will translate to a production SUV anytime soon. Not lost on this fountain of details are the colors and shades that Volkswagen specifically used on the T-Prime Concept. I already mentioned the Beihai blue body paint and the Ipanema blue leather on the interior, but Volkswagen also used Himalayan brown for the leather piping on the seats and Mistral on the light gray leather and Alcantara that serve as contrasts to the earth-themed tone of the cabin. Drivetrain. The Volkswagen T-Prime Concept GTE utilizes a plug-in hybrid powertrain made up of an electric motor, a battery pack, and a 2.0-liter four-cylinder turbo engine. Like with all of VW's GTE cars, starts in silent electric E-mode that can drive up to 31 miles in urban cities. Once the hybrid engine is brought to life, the concept is capable of producing as much as 376 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, of which 248 ponies and 273 pound-feet of torque are supplied by the turbocharged four-cylinder engine alone. Do the math and the electric motor is responsible for the extra 134 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. When the hybrid engine is in full use, all that power is coursed through an 8-speed automatic gearbox that in turn sends the power to all four wheels courtesy of VW's 4MOTION permanent all-wheel drive. Volkswagen goes on to say that the concept will accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6 seconds and hit its top speed at 139 miles per hour. It also revealed that in addition to the 31-mile all-electric, single-charge range, the concept is also capable of 29 miles per gallon of fuel in hybrid operation when the battery is flat. As far as combined fuel economy goes, Volkswagen claims that the T-Prime Concept GTE will return up to 78 mpg, which we suspect is really mpg. The automaker also added that there are two different ways to externally charge the lithium-ion battery of the concept. The conventional method is plugging the charging cable into a 220-volt outlet, which can charge the battery from empty to full in 8 hours at a power of 3.6 kilowatts. A faster alternative is also available through public charging stations that offer 7.2 kilowatts in power. In these stations, charging the battery to full only consumes 2 hours and 30 minutes. Conclusion. As one of the biggest automakers in the world, Volkswagen has the capacity to really make a huge impression in the growing SUV market. What it did with the T-Prime GTE concept was more than make an impression, it served notice to everybody else that it can create a vehicle that has the tools to be one of the most sought-after SUVs in the market. Granted, a lot of the details are unlikely to find its way into production, but from a big-picture perspective, the T-Prime GTE concept, features and all, is the kind of model that could really establish its presence in a market that's currently overflowing with options. I don't know what Volkswagen's plan is for the concept, but for what it's worth, it built and developed something that's worthy of going to production. Whether it takes the form of the next-generation Touareg or an entirely new model altogether, this concept shows that VW is ready for that dance. Love its sporty design, promising hybrid drivetrain, state-of-the-art infotainment system. Leave it we don't know much about it, fancy features likely to remain with the concept.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.